All right, last one for today. Not that you guys necessarily know, it depends on when you watch these, I guess. But we are going to talk about slightly more advanced versions of chords. Now, in the video that I just did, what we did is we took E minor, A suspended. What we're doing is working on moving two fingers back and forth across strings. 5th string, 4th string, 2, 4th string, 3rd string. Just shifting those back and forth. Then we also did E to the weird F. Then we also did E to A minor. Now, any one of those combinations of two will literally sound like a song the first day if you can get good at just shifting. So it's not a waste of time by any means. It may not be every song you've ever heard, but if you're just playing for friends, do that, man. Do whatever's going to sound the best, the quickest. So once you get that down, then we work on things like a C chord and maybe a G chord. Now, if I'm doing it, these both have uses, by the way. This is a normal C chord. This is a traditional C chord. This is a traditional G chord. Remember last video I said you need to make sure you can hear every note. Crucial. It's not... You need to hear every note. But these are not very functional. It's difficult to play this particular C to this particular G. Now what I might recommend is doing like A minor to C. And what we're doing is we're literally just moving one finger. Your 3rd finger is going from the 2nd fret on the 3rd string to the 3rd fret on the 5th string. And that's what we're working on right now, is we're going to move parts of chords. Last one, we shifted the whole chord. Now you can do that with any chord, by the way. We'll deal with that in another lesson as far as expanding your repertoire, as far as taking stuff that you already know and just getting more mileage out of it, because, and this is crucial, you will hear me say this over and over and over again. I even had t-shirts printed up for the store that said this. I am lazy, okay? The more mileage we can get out of stuff that we already know, the better we sound and the quicker we can do it, instead of trying to relearn something brand new and then something brand new, and then that's the hardest thing to do. So we're trying to make this as easy as possible. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to move parts of chords. I don't like this C chord. It is used. It's rare though at this point. Same thing with this G. I call it the campfire G. It's the kumbaya chord. Anything that is like post-70s and not folk music is going to use this form of a G. And again, we'll have chord diagrams someplace else. I'm not going to get into it here. It's a better written thing than it is an explained thing. You guys will figure it out and we'll have training materials. So, this G to this C. Now, all we're doing in this case is we're moving 2 fingers of the chord. We're not moving every finger this time. We're moving part of the chord. And this is yet another one of those secrets to how do we get more mileage. Between G, C, and D, you can literally play, I mean, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of songs. It's so many folk songs, it's so many rock songs, it's so many country songs, it's so many, I mean, almost endless. In fact, I would say something like 75% of bluegrass is made up of those chords. I could be wrong, but I've listened to a lot of bluegrass and that seems to be a pretty common thing. Same thing with country. If anybody is young and playing guitar, you see them singing on TV and they're doing acoustic guitar, it's probably what they're playing too. It's just that kind of a popular. It's a set of sounds that work together. So we've got G to C, like I said, we're moving 2 fingers worth. Now back to what we were saying before, they have to move at the same time. They have to be straight up and down. You cannot block the other strings. You've got to be sure that you can hear every single note. You've got to make sure every single finger is as close to the fret wire as possible. You're going to hear this over and over. And I guarantee you that probably 75% plus of you probably will forget it every time. That's why I keep bringing it up. It's just one of those things that it's one of the fundamentals and people just don't think about it most of the time. You have to ingrain that. That should be the first thought in your head, not the last one. Okay, so G to C. Now when we go to D, it's not every finger goes up and then somehow we have to get all these fingers over here. Remember I said that we want to move fingers in conjunction? It was easier when we were moving a whole chord. You just shift the whole thing over. Or part of a chord, you just shift parts of it. Watch what happens when I go to D. Okay, G, C. I want these 3 fingers to come up. See them? This one stays down. It's going to be in the D chord anyway. Don't waste time. Don't waste your effort. Okay, if you pick this finger up, now all of a sudden you have to guess about where the rest of your fingers go. We're going to use this as a pivot point. It's going to help guide us so we know where our other fingers should go. Now see how quickly I shift between those 2? It's because these 3 come up, these 2 shift mid-air. Same time. I'm going to get close to the camera so you guys can see this. Okay, good. C chord. See how they almost automatically shift? They both come down at the same time or really close to it. There might be a slight delay, like a fraction of a second. That's not a big deal. What I don't want is, okay, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. And then by that point, you've already missed a beat and a half, and it's just going to sound terrible. So you want to make sure that these shift at the same time. So practice it this way. Practice on just having these 3 fingers come up. Just these 3, just up, down, up, down, up, down. We talked about it in the last one about with an E chord, you're going to pick the whole shape up, put it right back down. Gotta figure out which direction I gotta go to so you can see that. There we go. Webcams are weird. It's a new laptop. I've never used a webcam before in my life. Okay. So with this, it's up, down, up, down. You've got to get used to that. And then we'll do it with the D chord as well. Up, down, up, down. Get those fingers used to going. That is the 1st and 3rd string, which is what we're using the fingers. They're coming up and down, blah, blah, blah. Okay, get the idea? Now, switch. See how they switched almost instantaneously? Same thing there. You don't see a lot of movement, nor should you. Spend a lot of time on that. We're going to go very slowly at first, and then we're going to try and do it fast. Now, when you try and do it fast, you don't do... And you certainly don't do... Not yet. Don't confuse yourself. Let's try and just work on 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And try and make that the first beat of the next thing be good. Remember I said it has to stay even. Has to. Non-optional. Music is made up of 2 things, and you will hear this again as well. It's notes and beats. Okay? You can't have music without having notes, which is the pitches, and beats, which is keeping it steady. That is 1/2 of music. If you do not have the beat thing down, you don't have music yet. Straight up. So, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that's the opposite of what I just did. Same concept, though. Anytime you're practicing from chord to chord, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just try and get to the next chord once and make sure it sounds good. Don't try and take everything at once. It's not 1, 2, 3. Absolutely not, man. If you're just beginning, you're just starting out, make it easy on yourself. Give yourself a chance to succeed. Get that habit of switching ingrained, which means you don't play the next chord 4 times. You play it once. Make sure you heard what you thought you heard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Make sure you've got all the notes, and then do that 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 times, whatever it takes. And then we're also going to do it backwards. All right, later.